Hey everybody, it's us, the Whisker Biscuits. And today we're doing a quick tutorial of how to get to the prefab editor and what you can do in said prefab editor.
Yeah.
Because we've had a lot of questions about building POIs and we're just going to clear up some confusion.
Yeah.
At least we hope anyway. So, first thing you should be doing is going into your game, right? 7 Days to Die, right here on the main menu. You are going to hit editing tools. So right here is where you would typically get to the world editor if you were trying to place a specific POI into a world. But for our purposes, we're going into level/prefab editor. Right, and you can just disregard the EAC enabled, just hit OK. And what this is going to do is load you into the prefab editor. Now, if you're watching this and you've already used the prefab editor and you've already worked in a POI or had one loaded, that's what it's going to load you into directly. If this is your first time using it, when you load in, it's just you're gonna be up in the sky and it's gonna be white and there's not gonna be anything there. So I will show you how to get to the area where you may want to create a new prefab. Okay, so if you're starting from scratch and you want to build a POI, here's how you'll do it. So I'm already in a prefab that I've started. So what I'm going to do is show you how to essentially create a new one. Hit escape. And over here on the right-hand side, you're going to go to the prefab browser. So it looks like two little houses. When you click on that, this allows you to basically go into any prefab that you have in your vanilla folder for prefabs in the game, or anything that you've created yourself that would have been saved here. To create a new one, because you've loaded in and you see nothing, you're going to go down to the bottom and click Create New Prefab. This is what you should see after you've clicked Create New Prefab. You will see this little checkerboard bottom, and now you have a clean slate to work from when creating your prefab. Okay? If you go up, you're going to see how big the area is. Just keep in mind when you're creating a prefab that if you use this entire area, it may not actually load into a game and or break it, because there will be significant lag and issues with, sleeper volumes and all of that. Right, Captain?
Sure.
Okay. All right, so the next part that I want to show you guys is I just want to kind of go through all of these little tools right here very quickly. I'm not going to go in depth into this because I have another idea for a series that will go into that more in depth. First one, debug tools. So right here, it will show you day, time. So if you need to adjust that for any reason while you're building something, you'll have fly mode that's already checked off, God mode, because as you're building, you might as well be in God mode and fly mode and be able to move around quickly if you need to. Saving active, you want to make sure that's checked off, because once you actually start to create your prefab and you do that first save, it'll save for you occasionally. So it's nice that you may not lose any work if you forget to accidentally save on your own. Physics active, if this is unchecked, that means that you can essentially build anything you want right off the bat and it's not going to collapse on you.
Yeah, pretty much.
Now, with Alpha 19 and using the prefab editor, every time you load back into your prefab that you're working on, you're going to need to recalculate your stability, which is up here at the top. So if you see teleport, you see recalculate. Recalc stability is important. Well, hey there, Captain.
Hello.
Because what that does is it calculates the stability of your build. That way, if you step onto it, it's not going to collapse beneath your feet. For some reason, that's changed in Alpha 19. It was not the case back in Alpha 18. But even with physics off, that will still happen. So every time you load into your prefab, make sure you go right into here, click Recalc Stability, and that's all you have to do. And then you should be set to work on it some more. If you turn physics on, if you check mark that while you're building and you step on an area that's not stable, it will collapse. Which is handy because then you know that that's an area you have to work on to make sure that it's more stable. If your build is not stable, it will never go into a world and stay in one piece. So always keep that in the back of your head when you're creating a prefab. Ticking active, that's never marked off, and that's kind of irrelevant for our purposes. Show stability is nice because once you've actually built something, once you go to recalculate the stability as you're building to make sure something is working or not working, when you click that, it'll actually highlight any areas within your prefab that are not stable. So you can kind of go around, mark them off in your brain, or, you know, fix them at the time, and then you can recalculate your stability, and it should be good to go.
Yeah.
All right, so in the second area, these things will come into play more so as you actually get building. Like the show sleeper volumes, that comes into play
Later.
towards the end of your build, because typically you shouldn't do anything with sleeper volumes until you're almost done. Right? You want to actually work on creating the building or whatever else you're putting together, and then worry about those. But once you click that off with a check mark, it'll show you any sleeper volumes that you have created. And with the sleeper x-ray check marked, you'll also see any of your actual zombies that you've placed. And it will show them in an x-ray form. But once again, that's stuff we're going to get into in my series that I'm going to be starting up. So some important things to note, right, is if you're, creating your prefab, you've done a box, you've gone to fill it with whatever material you happen to have, these are the buttons that are going to be important. The fill selection is L. So once you create a box, which Captain is going to demonstrate.
So you hit Z, and then, you're going to have to start from somewhere. So you create like ground.
Yep, you'll want to create your ground,
so
which...
we'll do like right here, so Z.
Yeah.
And then whatever material you have in your hand, you can fill with.
So whether that's like forest ground or asphalt or...
Right now I have rock, so that's happening.
Yep, you have rock.
Stone. So.
Yep.
There you go. You hit L.
So L essentially fills that block with whatever material you'll have in your hand. So it's a hell of a lot easier than going block by block in an actual world trying to build something.
Yeah, don't do that.
So we don't want to do that. Now, the next one is, say you wanted to clear that selection. So maybe he doesn't want to use stone after all.
I don't.
No. What he's going to do is he's going to hit Z.
Same thing.
Now, you want to make sure that you're going diagonally away from where you start your Z. Hit Z again. You've got your blue box back. You have your stuff inside your blue box. Yep. And now if you hit J,
bam,
it clears it out. So now you're back to square one. So it's nice because if you make a mistake like that, you can easily fix it.
Yep. Well, plus there's an undo button.
There is also an undo button, which is right here down at the bottom. So you can click the undo button. But the only downside with that is if you've done 5 different things and then you realize, oh crap, I want to change the ground. Sometimes hitting that undo button 5 times doesn't necessarily undo everything. So it's just a little bit easier if you know how to use Z in the proper way, so you can just get rid of something, as fast as possible. Right, because building a POI is going to take some time. It's not going to be a quick process to begin with. And you don't need to make it harder on yourself. Okay, so now we're going to demonstrate how to move your ground level. This comes in handy when you're building a basement underneath your prefab. Because you want to make sure that the ground level is essentially at the top of your basement.
Basically, or
so that the basement shows up in the ground in the game.
Like if you were to put that in the world right now, you'd have that lip on it. So if you just hit move up.
So I'm moving up 1. So see how it's flush?
Now it'll be level with the ground when you bring it into your world.
So now it will be level with the ground.
You can adjust that other places too, but whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Now if I move it back down, I have my lip back. So now we're level with the ground. If you wanted to move your whole prefab, so once you actually have something built here, if you wanted to move that up 1 space for some reason, right, you would hit the move up.
And move up
1 time. And then it moves it up. If you wanted to move it back down, you click down. So it's pretty simple, but that's a good way to move your entire prefab or move the ground level if you need to. If you click show bounds, this will show you the boundary of your actual prefab. Okay, so this is the entire thing. If for some reason you start adding around the edges or taking away from the edges of your prefab,
you want to update it.
You want to update your bounds every time you do that, because you have to it's essentially recalculating the chunks that you're using to build this prefab.
So like, for instance, I'll use Z.
Okay.
And I'll use Z over here.
All right, I'm gonna remove the bounds and come over so they can.
And then, but you won't be able to see the blue right now.
No.
You'll see it on my side.
Yeah.
All right, and then in order for me, I can move it by holding Shift and G. It brings up arrows that you can actually maneuver this blue box that you can't see on your screen.
Right.
So I'll highlight the uppy thing.
The up arrow.
I'll hold it and drag it. Well, it's not really an arrow, it's just an up box. I'll hold it and I'll drag it up, and then you can see the box is moving. So now I have highlighted in my inventory, I guess that's concrete blocks.
Concrete block,
So
yep.
the L, bam.
Look, a wall appeared.
There's a wall. Now, since we've changed the dimensions of the prefab.
Right. Now I'm going to go in and I'm going to hit show bounds and see
how
that wall is not inside of the bounds.
Now you want to update it.
Watch when I update.
There.
Now it's grabbing everything that I've added, so it's essentially piecing back together the prefab into one nice little concise package, essentially. And this last area, right, this is where we created a new prefab. If you wanted to load in a different one, like say, you know, I want to look for like this cabin, and see how you see, like when I click on that and you see a little picture down here, that's what I meant by the thumbnail for the prefab. It just gives you a little shot of what it looks like. So if you're looking for something specific, that will help you find it if you don't necessarily know the name of the prefab.
And how.
So anyway, if I wanted to go to that one, I would click on it, I would hit load. And that would take me out of this one and put me into the actual building, into cabin 09. So then I could like check it out.
And what a cabin that is.
It's a great cabin, really. No, it's really
so here's the box I built using the blue.
All right, so yeah,
The blue.
That's really all you need to know for this part of it. The last thing I want to say before we show them all the different neat, fast ways to build stuff is to save your prefab. Okay, you need to save it at least once because it's not been saved and it needs a name. Okay, so I'm gonna name this one Test Editor. That's it.
That's a dumb name for my square box.
Well, it's a square box. So anyway.
Yeah.
But once you save it, now... Alright, so now after we've saved our prefab, you're going to see the size of it, which is important to note.
Yes.
So, 17 is length, 6 is height, 14 is width.
Yes. Those are the
bigger those numbers, the harder it is to get the prefab to load into a world nicely or not lag things out.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so now Captain is going to show you all the magic.
All the magic?
All the magic buttons that you can use in the okay, some of the magic buttons you can use in the prefab editor.
Yeah. So
only some.
Fast walls, you don't want to build the wall block by block, which we kind of talked about. So you just Z it. Z from one end to the other. And then you'll be left with this. You press Shift and G. Like I said, you can't get a good angle on that because it just kind of... There you go. Shift and G together brings up like this omnidimensional...
It's arrows, basically.
It's square. It's squares. Like multi-directional square thing. So I want to go up with it. So I'll click and hold it, and I'll just push up with my mouse. See? And then I can fill it by hitting L. Bam. With whatever. It'll fill with whatever you have
in your hand. So make sure that you have something in your hand,
now,
or at least the relevant material you want to use.
Now, instead of hitting backspace and getting rid of that box, I can actually just move it over to this wall by holding G, and that'll bring up more directions. Only 3 this time, it's a little simple.
And they actually have arrows.
And they have arrows on this one.
Just
so I want to grab this one because this is the one that's going to go basically left or right or whatever. So I hold that, and see, now I can move it. And it won't go in any other direction, even if no matter what I do with my mouse. So I just move right to that wall, let go of it, hit L. Bam. And then now I can backspace.
It is the most handy of tools.
It is pretty handy.
Because especially
Fast.
if you're especially if you're trying to build something
Yeah.
fairly large.
Right. So like now,
you don't have to keep creating the same damn wall over and
Yeah.
over again. You
Yeah.
can just move it.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of other things you can copy and paste and things, but that'll be later on.
Right.
I mean
That'll be later on in my
Right.
tutorial.
So Z to here, Z, and then that fills that in automatically.
Yep.
So bam. All right, and then I can just do the same thing I did with the other wall by holding G, and then grabbing that arrow in the direction I want to go, and moving it over to there, and then bam. See?
There you go. You have a perfect box.
No.
Oh, mostly. It's
Mostly.
not really perfect.
No.
It's slightly
It's
perfect.
nice. It's nice.
It's a slightly perfect box.
It's okay. It's all right. So yeah, there you go. Pretty just basic stuff to
Yep.
get you started in.
Basic stuff to get you started.
Yeah, and I mean, mainly just by messing around with it, you'll get it.
Well, and that's the thing too. I mean, it took me forever to figure out how to move the box with G, because
Yeah.
I would accidentally let go
Yeah,
too fast, and then it would disappear, and I'd be like, "Ah, son of a bitch!"
and again,
It happens, but
this is 7 days, so things don't always work. as
no,
planned.
things will not always work out the way that you want them to.
No.
But this, using the prefab editor, honestly, is leaps and bounds better than trying to build in a world.
Yep.
If you want to build something quickly and efficiently, this is the way to do it. And it allows for more creativity, honestly, because you have full access of all of the tools that the devs use.
Oh yeah. Well, that's another thing.
Yeah, here, let me just show you that part too before we're done. So, I mean, your most magical tools, right? When you click on your creative button here, click on the little thing that looks like a stereo. Type in dev, and right here you've got your super digger, which literally will blow anything out
If you have it in your hand, yeah.
which I already have with one hit, typically. You have the God Pistol, which you don't really need that in
No.
Prefab Editor because you shouldn't have any zombies to take out.
Mainly your two most important tools in there are your paintbrush and
Yep, the paintbrush is nice because it's never-ending paint.
super digger. Yep, those two things are the.
And so, like I say, sometimes the wrench is handy if you're
That
placing
doesn't-
things that will blow up
Yeah,
if you
that
shoot
doesn't-
them with the super
That doesn't
digger.
explode vehicles. Like if you shoot them with a super digger, your vehicle
You're going to
will
explode a vehicle.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are really the three most important tools.
Yep.
But once again, you have full use of the creative menu. So
3,661 blocks.
Yeah.
Or items, basically.
Yep, every item you'll have access to all of the loot items. You'll have access to pretty much everything.
Everything. You can build.
You can build
Tons
to
of
your
stuff.
little heart's content and build whatever you want. And
And
then
it's fun.
at the end, you'll have a beautiful prefab that you can share with the world.
Yep.
Or just with us.
That too.
Because really, I mean, we just told you how to do it, so.
Yeah.
Please send us your prefabs. We
Yeah,
love them.
That's about
Yeah.
it for super basic stuff.
That's it for our super basic tutorial on how to find the prefab editor and how to minimally start a prefab.
Yep.
All right, I think that's it. I think we can call this a nailed it.
All right.
Nailed it done.
All right. That's what I'll call it.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. And hey, if you enjoyed it and you liked it and you thought it was helpful, give it a thumbs up because
And,
that makes our faces smile.
Yeah. If you have any questions, let us know.
And if you have questions, obviously leave them down in the comments. We will get back
We
to
don't.
you.
We're not perfect. We don't know
ASAP.
everything.
No, we don't know everything. Also, keep in mind, an actual tutorial of like real-time building a POI is coming from our channel soon. So anything that you may have questions about may be answered then. So you can always just stay tuned for that.
Yeah.
Coming soon. Coming soon to a TV near you or mobile phone or however you watch YouTube.
This is about the time where I just stop talking and I just let her.
It's
just,
true.
Just ramble on.
I like to ramble.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you hated it, give it a thumbs down.
Fuck yeah,
And
thumbs
if you're
down this
new,
shit.
Don't tell people to thumbs down
Sorry,
the stuff.
don't
Like,
thumbs down.
oh,
Don't thumbs down.
Don't listen to him ever. Also, if you're new and this was helpful and you liked it and you want to see more, consider subscribing, hit that notification bell, and then you'll know every time we post anything on YouTube.
I guess.
It's like magic. It'll be like a magic notification.
All right.
All right, guys.
Sounds good.
We'll see you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.